Good afternoon, everyone. Just gonna wait a couple more minutes for everyone to get on, and then we'll start today's open discussion. Hey everyone, let us begin today's open discussion and various topic session. And please let me know if there are any issues with the video or audio, as it seems to be getting a couple of error messages on my end, but let me make sure everything is all right on your end as well. All right, so let's open up today's session with reciting the prayer for spiritual workers. Prayer for spiritual workers. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their limitations, would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now, so that I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Almighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution, so that I might evolve and become stronger, I, and even stronger, in thy everlasting light. O God, thy will be done. All right, everyone. Welcome to Open Discussion and Various Topics, Class 138. As per usual, feel free to post any questions or comments you may have in the chat. We will do our best to answer those for you. And as we go along with today's session, we'll also continue with our survey, or review, sorry, of the Metaphysics 101 class that were given, I'm gonna say maybe 11 years ago now. So to access those videos again, you can go to our YouTube channel. Computer's a little slow today. And under playlists, scroll down a bit, and Metaphysics 101 is the playlist we are currently working through. It has two classes, class 1 and class 2, and we are working through the first 30 minutes of class 2. So feel free to go back and review this material from some of our earlier classes. If you have any questions or comments on the material, you can let us know and we'll answer those for you. Or if you'd like us to review some earlier classes, to share some updated diagrams, illustrations I've made over the years and the minds produced over the years, I'd be happy to do that as well. After the Metaphysics 101 series, we will move into the 21 lessons of metaphysics, the foundation of mystic and yogic techniques. And you can see here, there are several classes covering a wide variety of topics within the metaphysical sciences. I will create a curated list of the classes that we'll cover in this playlist series. I'll go through, make a transcript of several of them, and we'll cover them going through the transcript and updating the notes and whatever other topics within this playlist or other classes you'd like to cover, I'll go over that as well. So this is what we'll move to next. 21 lessons, metaphysics, the foundation of mystic and yogic practices. Yogic teaching, sorry. And that should carry us out for the rest of the year. And we may also return to a lecture format as we've done in the past. If so, then I will move this reviewing of previous lectures to another series or to a separate series. And we'll keep the Sunday Metaphysical Study Group open for the lectures that we have in the past, as well as continuing on other projects that I started and kind of sidelined over the years in an effort to expand our offerings, as well as approaches we take to the teachings to help you learn, absorb, grow, develop, and evolve in your practice as well. All right. So do we have any questions or comments? Let's see if we had anything emailed to us. You do have the option of emailing your questions or comments. And we can either answer them on the next open discussion or answer them privately via email. Just make sure you let us know whether you want them answered privately or you're okay with us answering them in a subsequent open discussion session. All right, well, if there are no questions or comments yet, then let's pick up with our review of the transcript. Now, last session, we actually spent the entire open discussion covering questions that were either emailed to us or posted in the chat. And so we didn't get to cover much. We didn't get to continue our review of the transcript of Metaphysics 101 Class 2, which is fine. I am more than welcome to ask any questions you may have as we're going through the material. Today we will pick up at time marker 4 minutes and 20 seconds into the lecture. And I will also finish up reading through the Nadi system a handout, which was given several years ago when we did, and I did a specific lecture series on the chakra system and the nadis. And today I'll also want to go into actually naming some of the nadis. In the 101 course, naming majority of the nadis outside of Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna was beyond the scope of the 101 course. And so I didn't go into those details, but in subsequent courses, he does actually list out the nadis, talks about their function and use. And in some other notes, he actually shows us illustrations of the nadis, the names of the nadis, and the locations of those nadis. So we may cover those briefly today, and hopefully we'll make some progress to the transcript, all the while fielding any questions you may have. All right, so here we go and pick up at the transcript. Now we only list 7 chakras here. And so on the right-hand side here, this was the actual illustration that Nimai was using back then. This was posted on projected in the class. And as he was making his way through the illustration, this was the dialogue that he was giving. So, but there's a total of 108 chakras that these nadis enter and exit, creating what is called the nadi nuts. Right. And wherever you find the nadi nuts, you find a chakra. Either a minute chakra, a minor chakra, or a major chakra. Now, the intersections of these nadis creates a vortex center of Shakti consciousness. Basic Shakti consciousness, or evolved Shakti consciousness, which is the point in which the Kundalini consciousness can operate when moving through the nadi nuts. Okay. Here, I want to finish reading this diagram, this illustration, which actually talks about even further, goes into more detail. Actually, let me make sure you guys can see this. Here and here. Okay. Okay, good. It's on the screen. This is the diagram where I had started reading through last time, where Nimai goes into great detail about the nadi system, being a system of sound vibrations that holds consciousness in place. Last time we stopped at the nadis and the granthi nuts. We're going to continue reading through this to give us more background information on the nadis, and then we'll continue with the transcript, because in the transcript at that point in the lecture, Nimai is transitioning from the nadis into the chakras. So we'll go into a bit further detail about the nadis today. And the next time, we'll dive even deeper into the chakra system, as well as taking extracts from Nimai's first published book, The Ancient Language of the Soul. There's a couple of chapters he dedicates both to the nadi system and to the chakra system. And so we'll take a look at those, and to help us get a better understanding of the information that was covered in the 101 series. The nadis and the granthi nuts. These 6 chakras are divided into 3 groups, which are called granthi, or nuts. The 3 granthis are nuts created with the chakras within the nadi system that's designed to further help block and slow down the subtler cosmic energies that flow freely through the nadic system. The first granthi nut is the Rudra granthi. It is made up of the base of the spine and the sex center along the Sushumna Nadi. Like all the Granthi knots, it's designed to help block and slow down the free flow of cosmic energies within man's various subtle and physical bodies. The second Granthi knot is the Vishnu Granthi. It is made up with the solar plexus center and the heart center along the Sushumna Nadi. The third Granthi knot is the Brahma Granthi, which is made up of the throat center and the Christ center along the Sushumna Nadi. It is said that when the yogi is capable of untangling these knots, he moves from the realms of mortals to immortals. Okay. The table 15 lists the 7 major chakras and Granthi knots and their relationships. So number 1, we have the base of the spine, or the Muladhara. Its tattva is Uta, and it contains 56 tattvic rays. Its group name is fire, and its conversion point is the Rudra Granthi. Next, we have the sex center, and the Svadhisthana chakra. Its tattva is Agni. It contains 62 tattvic rays, and its group is Agni, Akanda, and it also belongs to the Rudra Granthi. So those 2 points make up the Rudra Granthi, as described in the paragraph above. Next, we have the solar plexus. It's or the Manipura chakra. Its tattvas is Apas, has 52 tattvic rays, and its group name is the sun, or Surya, and it is part of the Vishnu Granthi. Then we have the heart center, the Anahata chakra. Its tattva is Vayus, has 54 tattvic rays, and it also belongs to the Surya, or the sun group, and also is second part of the Vishnu Granthi. And next we have the throat center, the Vishuddha chakra. Its tattva is Akasa. It has 72 tattvic rays, and it belongs to the moon or Chandra group, and it is part of the Brahma Granthi. And then we have the Christ center, or Ajna chakra. Its tattva is Manas. It has 64 tattvic rays, and it also belongs to the Chandra, or the moon group, and it also makes up the Brahma Granthi. And then finally, we have the crown center, and its Sanskrit name is Sarasara. And in total, all of the 6 chakras comprise of the 360 tattvic rays, which, as we know, is radiated from through the sun. So the 14 major nadis. So here we'll get into some of the nadis, and then we'll transition over to the documents, which list a few more and illustrate them as well. Excuse me. 3 nadis are the chief major nadis, and 11 are the major nadis. We have the Sushumna. This is located in the central area of the spinal cord, a tiny hollow canal within the spinal cord that extends from the base of the spine up to the crown chakra. In this Sushumna Nadi, the Ida and Pingala Nadi forces travel together as one energy in one direction. And you'll recall in previous discussions and previous lectures that Nirvana has created a diagram that shows us the anatomy of Sushumna. It describes the layers, defines the layers, and shows them where they're located, and gives us the purpose of them and a description about them. Let me see, I may have that here. Or maybe in another. Yeah, I don't have that document queued up today. Oh, I think we've looked at that in several other. I think maybe even last session we looked at the layers of the Sushumna. Number 2, Ida. located on the left sympathetic chain, stretching from under the left nostril to below the left kidney in the form of a bent bow. This is the negative force of nadis, which represents the female force within the nadis. Pingala, located on the corresponding chain on the right side. This is the positive force of nadis, which represents the male force within the nadis. Kuhu, the pubic nerve of the sacred plexus to the left of the spinal column. Gadhari, located on the back of the left sympathetic chain. It's supposed to stretch from below the left eye to the left leg. Hasti Jiva, located on the left of the sympathetic chain, stretching from below the corner of the left eye to the great toe on the left foot, on the same supposition as before. Sarasvati, located on the right of Sushumna, stretching up to the tongue. Kusa, located at the back of the right sympathetic chain, stretching from the corner of the right eye to the abdomen. Payasvani, Paya, Svini, located between the Pusa and the Sarasvati anicular branch of the cervical plexus on the left. Sankhini, located between Gadhari and the Sarasvati and anicular branch of the cervical plexus on the left. Yasasvini, located in the front of the right sympathetic chain, stretching from the right thumb to the left leg. Varuna, located at the nerves of the sacred plexus between Kuhu and Yasasvini, ramifying over the lower trunk and limbs. Visvodhara, located at the nerves of the lumbar plexus between Kurhu and Hasti Jiva, ramifying over the lower trunk and limbs. And then Alambusa, located at the coccyx nerves, proceeding from the sacred vertebrae to the urinogenital organs. The human body is a complex vehicle that the soul has devised in order to work on a gross manifested state of consciousness. Behind this gross human body are tremendous subtle forces that create the opportunity to allow this gross manifestation to stay in existence. This can be called the chakra system of the human body. And pause here to see if there's any questions. Oh, okay. And table 16 lists the chakra system of the human body. First, we have the base of the spine, Muladhara, containing 4 petals. Again, it's Tattva's Bu, 56 tattvic rays. Belongs to the fire, Agni Kanda, fire group, and belongs to the Rudra Granthi. We have the sect centers, Svadhisthana, 6 petals. Tattva's Agni, 62. Sorry, let me mute my phone. 62 tattvic rays. Its group name is Agni Kanda. It also belongs to Rudra Granthi. We have the solar plexus Manipura, 10 petals. Tattva's Apas, 52 tattvic rays. To the sun group, or Surya, and the Vishnu Granthi. The heart center, Anahata, it's 12 petals. Tattva is Vayu, tattvic ray 54, the Surya group, also the Vishnu Granthi. The throat center, Vishuddha, 16 petals. Akasa, 72 tattvic rays, belonging to the moon or Chandra group, and is part of the Brahma Granthi. and the Kriyasanta Ajna, 2 petals, Tattvas Manas, 64 Tattvic rays to the Chandra group, and also the Brahma Granthi. Consciousness. The manifestation of consciousness is brought about through the intersection of Pingala and Ida nadis. The chakras are the vortex centers where Pingala and Ida nadis intersect and manifest various levels of consciousness. This consciousness operates on all levels, and chakras represent the primary realms of existence that it is operating from. As stated earlier in this book, the soul configures the Shakti power into the Kundalini consciousness that blocks the door to Sushumna, which manifests the basic flow of Shakti power that's separated into 2 parts, which are called Pingala and Ida. Kundalini then becomes the instrument that the soul works through. In its Kundalini's dormant state of consciousness, it sings a song that manifests basic consciousness on all levels of existence. This is done by Kundalini sending a sound vibration up through the chakra system that creates the right Shakti configuration that manifests the vehicle of expression that the soul can work through in order to experience basic mental, subtle, and astral consciousness, and eventually gross physical consciousness. These sound vibrations leave the dormant state of Kundalini and modify itself at the solar plexus chakra, the heart chakra, and finally at the throat chakra, where the total power to manifest basic consciousness is brought about by the 4th aspect of sound. The Ida nadis, mental powers, and Pingala nadis, vital powers, intersects at and through the chakras. It is a thing that turns on the switch that allows consciousness to manifest at any level of existence. Okay. So here in the last paragraph, this nadi system is actually an extract from another text. This whole about a few pages here that I read from a text that I knew I had authored. Right, do we have any questions or comments? Let me see. Nothing on this end. Did that one already. Okay. If there's no questions, then next I'll move into another document, like I mentioned earlier, that actually shows and illustrates the nadis. Lists and talks about a few more nadis. And then we'll continue on with the transcript, which at this point will move into the chakra system. And then we'll keep the chakras, the auric body, and actually in talks in bits about the consciousness level, super conscious, and so forth. So I think in the next session, we'll go into greater detail about the chakra system. Let's resume share. And let's share this document. And after this, we'll look at a couple of notes on the Nadi system. We'll look at the nadis and their correlation to the senses of man. As well as the pranas, the human flow of prana, I should say. And then we'll close off with a discussion on the nadis as it pertains to psychic and spiritual development. In the next class, we'll go into a bit of the chakras. Okay. The word nadi is derived from the Sanskrit word, derived from Sanskrit word nad, meaning hollow stalk, sound vibration, and resonance. Nadis are tubular organs. Why won't this thing go away? Nadis are tubular organs of the subtle body through which energy flows. Nadis are ducts, channels which carry air, water, blood, nutrients, and other substances throughout the body. They are the arteries, barnacles, veins, capillaries, and so on. In our so-called subtle and spiritual bodies, which cannot be weighed or measured, they channel cosmic, vital, seminal, and other energies, as well as sensations, consciousness, and spiritual aura. From the Atma, dwelling in the heart, and the size of a thumb, radiate 101 nadis. All right, so you can see here on the left-hand side, this illustration showing the individual sitting in Padma, and the orc, and then the different nadis as they intersect the different psychic centers. They are named here, but these names, the writing here, I believe, is in Sanskrit. And I cannot yet read Sanskrit, so unfortunately, I will not be reading them this time. From each of these 101 nadis emanate 100 subtler nadis, each of which branches off into another 72,000. They are called different names according to their functions. Nadikas are small nadis, and nadi chakras are ganglia or plexuses in all three bodies. Okay. It is said in the Vara Upanishad, please forgive my mispronunciations, that the nadis penetrate the body from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head. In them is prana, the breath of life. And in that life abides Atma, which is the abode of Shakti, creatrix of the animate and inanimate worlds. All nadis originate from one of two centers, the Kandasthana, a little below the navel and the heart. Though yoga texts agree about their starting points, They vary about where some of them end. 12 digits above the anus and the genital organs, and just below the navel, there is an egg-shaped bulb called the khanda. From it, 72,000 nadis are said to be spread throughout the body, each branching off into another 72,000. They move in every direction and have countless outlets and functions. The Siva Samhita mentions 350,000 nadis, of which 14 are stated to be important. The three most vital are Sushumna, Ida, Pingala. Did you want to add anything, Imam, before I continue?
No.
No? Okay. Your subtle energy system. A slightly different angle. Pranic energy flows throughout your pranic sheath via fixed pathways called nadis, conduits, channels, or arteries, what have you, derived from the Sanskrit root nada or nala, motion. So nadi is energy in motion. At various focal points within your pranic body, networks of nadis intersect to form chakras, plexes of subtle energy centers. As wireless mediums, the subtle energy tubes, nadis, are not physical nerves or arteries, and the vorticic chakras are not physical nerve plexuses. If you dissected a corpse, you would not locate one nadi or chakra anywhere because they are composed of non-physical substance. In fact, even under an electron microscope, they are undetectable. Yet these subtle energy tubes and centers give the very breath of life to your body. Without them, your heart would not beat and lungs would not move. Because they are not readily discernible for scientific investigation, their existence is rejected by Western medicine. However, the nadi system is the essence of Chinese acupuncture and Ayurvedic medicine. Why are nadis and chakras discounted as myth? Consider a man who never saw a radio or television. If you told him these instruments could pick up signals originating many miles away, he would laugh at you. No wire transmits the signal, yet invisible electromagnetic waves carry it. Similarly, your body is akin to a radio that receives pranic energy. A healthy body receives these energy waves as a clear, well-tuned radio. An unhealthy body is an old, dilapidated radio that distorts the signal. The 5 pranas. Prana, in its capacity of the life force in breath, takes 5 separate forms. These 5 vital forces, pancha prana, breathe life into your body. Number 1, prana, upbreathing, is inward and downward motion. Seated in the heart, anahata chakra, it governs respiration, swallowing, and movements of the gullet. Prana resides in the eyes and ears, operates in the heart and lungs, and moves in and out of your nose. Number 2, apana, down breathing. Apana is downward and outward motion. Seated in the anus, Muladhara chakra, it governs excretion and the kidneys, bladders, genitals, colon, and rectum. It is responsible for flatulence, ejaculation, conception, childbirth, defecation, and urination. It regulates the sense of smell, makes the body stable, and its range of influence is from the navel to the rectum. Number 3, samana, on breathing. Samana is horizontal motion. Seated in the navel, Manipura chakra, it maintains digestive fire and regulates stomach, liver, pancreas, and intestine. Its realm of activity extends from the heart to the navel. Samana carries the grosser product of food to apana for excretion and brings the subtler material to the extremities. The word samana means equalizer. The ancient scripture, Yoga Sutras, says by conquering the vital force called samana, effulgence is acquired. By developing samana, vayu, current, impulse, vital air, all parts of your body are properly nourished, and the energy supplied by food is evenly distributed. By controlling samana, you gain charisma and a powerful aura. It is said in the scriptures that 7 lights proceed from samana. Number 4, udana, out breathing. Udana is upward and outward motion. Seated in the throat above the larynx, the Vishuddha chakra, it regulates falling asleep, controls all automatic functions in the head, and maintains body heat. Udana is responsible for speech, music, and humming. At the time of death, Udana separates the astral body from the physical body. By controlling Udana, levitation can occur. Udana is responsible for Kundalini rising up your spine. And number 5, Vyana, or back breathing. Vyana is circular motion, a combination of prana and apana, by which these two are held. All pervading and moving through all the nadis, it controls the circulatory, lymphatic, and nervous system, directs voluntary and involuntary movements of muscles, joints, tendons, and fascia, and keeps the body upright through unconscious reflexes. Vyana is responsible for blood flow and lymph detoxification, sweating, and coordination of all systems. The word Vyana means pervading one. Excuse me 1 minute. Let's take a look again at some of the nadis. We saw 14 of them listed in a previous document. This one goes into quite a bit more. Alambusa connects the mouth and anus. Chandra refers to eyelid. Chitra Nadi, one of the nadis emanating from the heart through which the creative energy, Shakti, of Kundalini passes to reach the Sahasrara, the crown chakra. Of the 101 nadis, only the Chitra splits into 2 parts at the root of the Sushumna. One part of the Chitra moves within it, extending upwards to the aperture of Randhra of Brahma at the crown of the head above the Sahasrara chakra. This is the gateway to the Supreme Spirit, Parabrahman. The other part of Chitra moves down to the generative organ for discharge of semen. It is said that at the time of death, yogis and saints consciously leave through the Brahmarandra. Brahmarandra, yeah. Since the aperture is in the spiritual or casual body, Karana Sarira, it cannot be seen or measured. When the prana rises upwards via the chitra through the chakras, it takes with it the radiance, ojas, a creative energy latent in semen. The chitra is transformed into the Brahma Nadi, or Para, Supreme Nadi. Gandhari. One of the nadis said to be behind the Ida Nadi, terminating near the left eye, regulating the function of sight. Asti, Jiva, located in front of the Ida Nadi, terminating near the right eye, regulating the function of sight, seeing. Ida, starting from the left nostril, moving to the crown of the head and descending to the base of the spine. In its course, it conveys lunar energy and is therefore called Chandra Nadi. Its function is cooling, tamas, and inertia. Kausiki, one of the nadis that terminates at the big toes. Kuhu, one of the nadis said to be located in front of the Sushumna. Its function is to evacuate feces. Karma, subsidiary nadi whose function is to stabilize the body and the mind. Payasvini, one of the nadis terminating at the right big toe, said to be located between the pusa, which is behind Pingala, which is behind the Pingala nadi, and the Sarasvati, behind Sushumna. Pingala, tawny or reddish, starting at the right nostril, moving to the crown and down the base of the spine. As the solar energy flows through it, it is also called the Surya Nadi. Its function is burning, rajas, action. Pusa, Nadi situated behind Pingala, terminating at the right ear. Its function is hearing. Raka, Nadi creates hunger and thirst and collects mucus at the sinuses. Samkhini, terminates at the genital organs, is situated between Gandhari and Sarasvati. It carries the essence of food. Sarasvati, Nadi, which is behind Sushumna Nadi, terminating at the tongue, controlling speech, and keeping the abdominal organs free from disease. Soma, see ID. Sura, Nadi, which is between the eyebrows. Sura and Surya. Nadi from the sun, see Pingala. Sushumna, from the base of the spine to the crown of the head, up the center of the spine. Its function is Agni, fire, Sattva, illumination. Varuni, Nadi, which flows throughout the body. Its function is the evacuation of urine. Its position is between Yasasvini and Kuhu. The Vyana, Nadis, Nadis are vessels. These nadis are vessels of consciousness. Interesting. Visfodhari, nadi having the function of absorption of food. Its position is between Hasti Jivha and Kuhu. Oh, well, let me edit. Okay. Yasavini, nadi, before Pingala, between Garhari and Sarasvati, situated between the left ear and the left big toe. In addition to the various primary and minor nadis, the Shakta Tantra and the Kundalini Laya yoga traditions emphasis was placed on the central nadis, which represented concentric, hence increasingly subtle, channels along or in front of the spine, and along which are strung the 7 chakras. These 4 central nadis are Sushumna Nadi, starts from the Kanda Mula, laying just below the Muladhara chakra, and goes upward centrally within the vertebral column. Vajra Nadi starts from the starting point of Sushumna and goes upwards, lying within Sushumna. Chittarini Nadi starts at the starting point of the Vajra Nadi and goes upward, lying within the Vajra Nadi. And then number 4 is the Brahma Nadi, or Brahmarandhara Nadi. Starts from the orifice of the Svayambhuha Linga in the Muladhara chakra and goes upwards, lying within Chittarini. Okay. So any questions or comments on that one? Did I lose a screen share? Yeah, I did. Sorry about that. So you see in just a few lines of dialogue in the Metaphysics 101 class, quite a lot of information is embedded within it. Of course, in the 101 course, we were only covering just the basics, and emphasis in the 101 course, and then you'll see across all the ancient teachings is placed on the most, that they said in the text, most important nadi centers, that being Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. And so you'll see in a very basic talk about the nadi system, always at the very least Ida, Pingala, Sushumna is mentioned, but there are volumes and volumes of data information that is not touched upon in a basic survey, but is available for us to study to gain a deeper knowledge and insight into the functioning of our mystic constitution, our metaphysical makeup. Something you want to add, Nima?
It just demonstrates that most of the nadis have to intersect with the 108 chakras and also the major chakras along the spine or the vertebrae. And if you see that most of them terminate around a sense organ, and in order to produce senses. So in the teachings, we in the mystic teachings, we talk about the nadis, the prana, the sense organs, and the senses produced from the sense organs. And that's one of the major functions of the nadis. And the nadis have to pass through one of the chakras or a combination of the chakras, whether it's a minute chakra, minor chakra, or major chakra. But most of them are connected to the major chakras and then spread out to the minor chakras, and then they produce a sense organ and then a sensus. And that's where the 10 senses come from, or consciousness operate from. And that's the whole concept of pranayama, channeling that prana in order to increase the senses, in order to sensitize the sense organs, in order to increase the senses, in order to be able to communicate or function on multiple levels of existence, bringing about senses, merging the physical senses with the astral senses, bringing about the psychic senses, and then merging the psychic senses with the etheric senses, bringing about a higher psychic spiritual existence.
Later on in today's session, we'll look at or to close today's session, we'll look at a diagram talking about the nadis and spiritual, the nadis, the senses of man, and the psychic, spiritual and psychic development as it pertains to the functioning or the flow of prana through the nadis. Okay. Just any questions? All right, so I also wanted to show this, I had mentioned it earlier, of the diagram that Nehemiah created for us that talks about the Sushumna Nadic flow. It also lists the layers of the Sushumna Nadi. So we looked at this several times. I won't go over it today. But I do believe that this diagram and this illustration is available in the shared folder. So if you look on the description on YouTube, or show notes, as some people call them, you can find a link to our Google Drive shared folder, which contains some of the handouts that we've covered over the past couple of years in these open discussion sessions. You can go through them, you can download them, study them, take notes, and post any questions have on that material. You can feel free to post it in the chat in a subsequent open discussion class, or email them to us, so we'll answer them for you. But if you see a handout that we go over in the open discussions, but is not available in the shared folder, please send me an email and let me know, and I will upload that diagram. I did not know. Thank you. So next, we'll take a look at the notes on the Nadi system. Again, with an additional illustration of showing the nadis and the location within the sensory organs in the head. And after we go through that, we'll take a look at this diagram. And then we'll close with this one. Next time, we'll continue in a transcript at time marker 5 minutes and 22 seconds. And then from there on, we'll go into a deeper discussion of the chakras and the auric bodies. So these 14 nadis here, we already read in a previous document today. And so you'll see here and the major nadis in the head, you have the olfactory nerve, the optic nerve, The Ganhari Nadi, number 4, behind the left eye. The Pingala Nadi, the right nostril. The Ida Nadi, the left nostril. And you see here this line representing the Sushumna Nadi, which goes all the way down. The Anambusar or Lamkini Nadi in the mouth. The Sarasvati Nadi, looking at the tongue. So we have the pineal gland, the Shiva, pituitary gland, the Vishnu, the cervical nerves, look at it here. And then we have the Payasvini Nadi, the right ear. The Hastajiva Nadi, the right eye. The Hasvini Nadi, the left ear. The Pusha Nadi, the right ear. The Vajrini Nadi is within Sushumna. See the cord central column here. Trini Nadi within the Sushumna. And the Brahma Nadi void within the Sushumna. And again, that's these nadis here, Sushumna, Vajra, Trini, and Brahma Nadi. And you have the Ida Nadi and the Kuhu Nadi, which goes down to the genital region. So the nadis and the senses of man again, the right eye, Pingala nadis, you have the crown center here, the Ida nadis on the left eye, the left ear, Ida nadis, the left nostril, Ida nadis, the right ear and right nostril tied to the Pingala nadis. The throat chakra, the Vishuddha chakra, and within the mouth, so you have these here, Sushumna Nadi, which travels through the central channel, Pingala and Ida Nadis here, and Kundalini power. Now the top lip represents the Shiva's stillness in creation. We're talking about the anatomy of the mouth. The tongue represents Nada power that flows from Kundalini. And the bottom lip represents Shakti, the power of action. So in other words, the top of the mouth stays still. The bottom, or the jaw, moves, the power of action, the Shakti. And the tongue, which manipulates sound, presents Nada, the power that flows from Kundalini. Then we have the organs and the corresponding physical and psychic and advanced psychic senses, along with the associated chakras. First, we have the nose. Physical sense is physical smell, and its psychic sense is astral and physical smelling, and then its advanced psychic sense, etheric and physical smelling, and its associated chakra is the Muladhara, base of the spine. The tongue, for physical taste, its psychic sense is astral physical taste, and its advanced psychic sense is etheric and physical taste, and it is associated with the Svadhisthana chakra, or the sex center. The eyes, physical sight, psychic sense, astral and physical sight, and its advanced psychic sense is etheric and physical sight, or clairvoyance, and its associated chakra is the Manipura chakra, South Plexus center. And the skin, for physical touch. The psychic sense is astral and physical touch, and advanced psychic sense is etheric and physical touch. And it's associated with the Anahata chakra. And then we have the ears, physical hearing, astral and physical hearing, and etheric physical hearing, and it is associated with the Vishuddha, or the throat chakra. Let me zoom out a bit. Okay. The Nadi system and the human flow of prana. The soul pulls in the 5 major pranas, the tattvic modifications, and subdivides them into 36,000 pairs, creating the Pingala Nadis, and the Ida nadis that equals 72,000 nadis of thin tube-like lines of force and pushes them through the solar plexus center, the Manipura chakra, and then branches off into 10,100 branches. These branches move into all directions, identifying over 100 major, minor, and minute chakras. As these nadis branch off, they expand and become smaller nadis and greater in numbers until it reaches over 200,000 nadis. The 5 major tattvas, modes of sonic motions of prana, modifies into what is called the 5 major pranas, which are prana, apana, samana, udana, and vyana. Then these modified pranas modify themselves again, creating 5 additional pranas that operate on a negative level, which gives the nadis its power for gross manifestation. All right, then you'll see here, this is the same illustration from earlier, but in this one, Nehemiah has identified the psychic centers and given us the associated mandalas and petals that with them. So you have the Christ center, 2 petals, the throat center, 16 petals. The heart center is 12 petals, the solar plexus, 10 petals. So the sex center has 6 petals, and the base of spine 4 petals, and those equal the 50 letters in the Sanskrit alphabet. That's right, Nima, right? That's correct, right? That's the
Right, yeah.
Right. And then on the right here, we have another illustration. Where you see here, this line down right here represents the Sushumna channel, which moves along, representing moving along the spine. And as you move up, the Shushana, Buddhahara, Svatisthana, Manipura, Hirit, Anahata, Vishuddha, Alana, Talu, Ajna, Manas, Indur, Nirvana, Vishkara, and the top Guru at the crown, at the Sahara Sara, the crown. The Nadi system, mind, prana, and tattvic rays. I know it's quite a lot of information, guys, but we're almost finished. Button there. And we're almost done. Just a couple more pages and then we're done for today. The Nadi system, mind, prana, and tattvic rays. Right? The soul's journey from the divine and its journey back to the divine is through the Nadi system. The contamination of the Nadi system through sporadic actions creates the fall of the soul's consciousness, and the purification of the Nadi system through predetermined actions under the strict divine laws of karma brings about the rays of the soul's consciousness. Okay. Let's continue on here. There are 2 principal cosmic tattvas, or nada modes of motions in the universe: mind and prana. Mind is a pervasive flow of energies, and prana is a vital flow of energies within the creative universe. These 2 cosmic forces are intertwined. One serves as an internal operating force and the other as an external operating force. The mind is the internal force and prana is the external force. Both of them are the result of the creative word or power of nada, AUM, being issued from the absolute and becoming that universal sonic pressure driving all things as a divine will of God. So see here, if you understand that, then you'll understand, we talked about previously, that when they say the power of life and death is in the tongue, well, that's with nada representing the tongue, the top of the mouth, Shiva, and the bottom of the mouth representing Shakti. You'll understand the meaning behind that idiom. Now, mind in its lowest state of operation is restless, scattered, and inert. Mind in its highest state of operation is calm and stillness. Prana in its lowest state of operation is incoherent, sporadic, violent, dark, and partially disconnected from the essence of its inner power of mind. Now, prana in its highest state of operation is perfectly balanced with its inner driving force, mind, its functioning in its highest state. Mind, prana, and virya, semen. The secret to controlling these forces and achieving higher consciousness, referring to mind and prana and virya, lies within gaining control over at least two of them, gives you control over the third force. Through Jnana Yoga, the student gains knowledge from ancient truth of the masters, which manifests itself as predetermined actions that carve out of directed will that leads to the higher pathways of life. Through Hatha Yoga, you gain control over the prana, a physical vital energy. Through Raja Yoga, man gains control over the mind. These actions eventually give man the power over his semen, or virya, through leading him to techniques that help him remove the passion, rajas, and inertia, tamas, within the lower mental bodies. The tattvas are invisible forces that the soul uses to direct, shape, and form the nadi system to aid the soul in the journey through involution to evolution. These tattvic rays are described as 360 tattvic rays that are radiated from the sonic vibrations issued by the solar logos, the mighty sun, 365 days a year. These 360 rays illuminate the earth in the form of fire, sun, and moon. These 360 rays are subdivided within the subtle bodies of man as follows. Okay. First, we have the tattvic rays modified by the moon. There are 136 tattvic rays that bounce off the moon and become tattvic ray that's modified by the moon or chandra and embedded within the throat chakra and Christ chakras or nadi nuts. So we have here from the Vishuddha all the way up to the Christ chakra, represented here. Then we have the sun's tattvic rays modified by the earth's auric fields. There are 106 tattvic sun or surya rays that are embedded within the solar plexus, Manipura, and the heart chakras and nadi nuts, the anahata. And then we have the tattvic rays modified by the earth. There are 118 tattvic sun rays that are modified by the earth to build the lower realms of existence. These modified tattvic rays are embedded within the base of the spine chakra and the sex chakra in order to move the lower consciousness of the soul through valuable experience. Cycles of experience that will mold, shape, and purify the lower consciousness in order to be prepared to be merged with the higher consciousness. And we have a couple of states here of consciousness, which is we have these states of consciousness: sattvic state, a pure state of consciousness; rajas state, a desirous state of consciousness; and tamas state, a dark state of consciousness. Nimai, what's the hit? H-R-I-T, hit? Hirit? I think I know Lalana is talu. That's the center in the tongue or the mouth. Mindless is mind. Indu, is that a type of mind? There's some things here.
It's a psychic center right below the heart center. Supposed to be, for many years, it was a secret psychic center.
It's okay to talk about now? I guess.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. And the Lana is the psychic center in the mouth. Oh, it's pointing to the nose, actually. I thought that was I thought Talu was in the one in the tongue, the mouth area.
It's in the mouth. It's up the upper part of the mouth.
And Indu is part of the Christ Center, Manas Ajna.
I think it was, all of this was shown on the first thing.
It was from the first thing, right? Some of them I hadn't seen before.
You can see like the okay. I gave this to you guys 10
years ago. Yeah,
years ago, yeah. You didn't understand it back then, huh?
No, I didn't.
This is secret knowledge. Is almost supposed to be private. This type of knowledge here, because it really breaks it down and tells you. But people can get in trouble if they don't really study when you give them this.
Did I make this class private then?
No.
Oh,
but I put this in the diagram book, didn't I? In the bigger diagram book.
I'll have to check and I don't think so, but I'll check and see. Oh, I missed this part here. Bring about Shiva embodied consciousness. We have the top, Buddhi consciousness. Avidya is a lack from there, falls down to a lack of knowledge from experience. Then aviveka, a non-discrimination of the real and unreal, self and non-self. Ahamkara is the I maker ego consciousness or principle of individuality that brings about the ego illusion. Abhimana, attachment and pride, a result of being embodied in ego. Raga, devasha, like, dislikes, passions, hatred, and aversion, the results of gross embodiment of consciousness. Karma, the actions of embodied consciousness under the illusion of ego. And then the body, the gross physical bodies for the embodied consciousness. And then further down, that is the misery in the wheel of samsara and manas consciousness. All right. Any questions? No? Okay, so let's finish up today's session when we're taking a look at discussion on psychic and spiritual development and the mechanisms for psychic development. And it opens up with a question: what is psychic and spiritual development? And then right after the answer, it is when the merging, it's when the physical and astral senses and sense organs merge. Number one, the spirit of man is considered to be the divine spark of God, which is the real self. Number two, the spirit of man creates a soul, which becomes the body for spirit and the traveling aspect of spirit. Three, the soul then creates the auric body, which becomes the body of the soul. And number 4, the auric body, being the body of the soul, is a cosmic body that is virtually indestructible. The auric body is designed to draw its power from the cosmos because it is connected to the universe via the soul. It's designed from the Shakti, modified by the soul, and then the auric body operates as a miniature atmosphere of substance for the many aspects of the soul, which is the mental bodies, the chakra system, Kundalini power, the Nadi system, pranic bodies, etheric body, astral body, and the physical body. So when we talk about the emergence together of the physical and astral senses, we have the non-physical senses of smelling, taste, sight, touch, and hearing. But whenever the yogis talk about senses, they talk about 10 senses. And those additional 5, the sense of movement, sense of excretion, sense of generation, grasping, and speech. And when we merge those physical senses with their astral counterparts, again, the smelling, taste, there's astral smelling, astral taste, astral sight, astral touching, hearing, and so forth, we develop psychic senses. And there's also, just as we have the physical organs that are tied to the senses. So, for example, the smelling to the nose, taste to the tongue, sight to the eyes, touching to the skin, hearing to the ears, movement to the feet, excretion to the anus, generation to the genitals, grasping, manipulating to the hands, and speech to the voice. We can also merge those with the astral sense organs, and which also includes the development of psychic senses. The mechanics of psychic development through the use of the 8 limbs of Raja Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, concentration, contemplation, and meditation. And through pranayama, it enhances the pranic flow and increases mental activity, which we talked about in the last diagram, illustrations, why it's important. Listen here, when Pingala and Ida intersects, a vehicle of consciousness is formed for the soul's use. So Pingala, flow of vital energies. Ida, flow of mental energies. And increase the flow of the increase in the flow of vital and mental energies creates a greater presence and manifests the potential of man's consciousness. Visualization practices. The human ability to use imagination gives him the power to create mental images out of subtle energies to initiate patterns and pathways for energies to flow in order to bring about certain results. Visualization. This component of imagination has the power to sustain the patterns and pathways of the mental images created, which further serve to increase a flow of energies needed to enhance conscious awareness of the images. Mental concentration practices. This is a constant and sustained practice of thought being directed down one channel of thought without interruption. Example of this can be seen in the instructions given in pranayama methods, where the student is told when inhaling the breath to imagine that you are taking the prana off of every breath and pushing it down both sides of the spinal column and back up the inner channel of the spinal column to and out the middle of your forehead, extending about 6 inches outside the forehead, and repeating this hundreds of times within one sitting on a daily basis. Any questions here? No? Okay. The keys for manipulating and increasing the flow of subtle energies from the pranayama practices are as follows. Mental concentration, channeling all thoughts in one or in a single direction. Controlled imagination, shape the created thought in one direction. Sustained visualization, sustaining singular thought and controlled imagination. 3 forms of mantra, or voice, whisper, or thought. Calibrating energy flows moving through the chakras with sustained mantra chanting. And the 3 types of mudra, the hands, arms, and body. Using mudra to seal, redirect, and redistribute subtle energies within the body. Understand the mystic knowledge of the physical and psychic senses. We have here illustrated the sense organs within the aura, and particularly correspond to the physical body, from the crown chakra down to the base of the spine chakra. For hands, genitals, anus, skin, the voice, tongue, nose, eyes, ears, and the feet. We have the subtle magnetic mental fields of operation. The tanmantra, or the sense material, here illustrated by the auric unit. The nadi configuration that produces the sense organs to register, read, analyze, and express outside objects, places, and persons. The yogi system recognizes 10 senses instead of just the 5 senses listed by physical sciences. The yogi engages a greater portion of the human body's functions. Excuse me. A subtle magnetic field is created from the activities of the nadis, chakras, and human sense organs. This is called and recognized as the mental bodies of man and the part of the multi-layered auric body. Within this magnetic auric mental field has accumulated substance called the tanmantras, which is the sensory material of the mental bodies. Normally, this sensory material goes unnoticed by the conscious mind and gets stored away in the subconscious mind to be used at a later date. Okay. Was there anything you wanted to add, Nehemiah?
No, I mean, this is it's kind of late to go into this.
Yeah, I know I covered quite a lot today. So. Are there any final questions or comments? Next time, mentioned earlier, we'll pick up at 5 minutes and 22 seconds into the Metaphysics 101 Class 2 lecture. So if you're following along with the lecture, the video, that's where we'll be. And we'll move into a discussion of, the supraconscious, Kundalini, to the chakras, and then if you get even further into the bodies. Yes, that's just, again, like I said before, in this transcript, I only took down, let me remove this so I know where I am. The first 15 minutes, but even so, the first 5 minutes took us several, or maybe I think, what? I think maybe it's the 3rd or 4th open discussion we've been covering just this transcript alone. So last night, you can understand why I decided not to do the entire hour-long, some other classes 2-hour-long lecture. So I do want to invite you to go back and motivate you to go back and review the entire lectures, and then come back with any questions. So even if I don't cover it or transcribe it and cover it in one of these open discussions, you can still go back, review it, come back with any questions or comments you may have. And if there are those who would like me to actually transcribe the entire videos, I know some people are interested in translations, but in order to do that, you'd have to either use transcribing services or do it manually. I prefer to do it manually because it helps me to learn as well. Or you, as for yourself, it could be an exercise you do as well. Transcribe some of the lectures. So it forces you to listen to it over and over again and to listen very closely, to catch every single word and to write it out. It's a good, concentration practice if you'd like to try that. And, we'll continue reviewing the lectures, or if you like to transcribe a couple of the classes, send it to us. We can get those translated into other languages for the benefit of other students throughout the world. So next time we'll pick up here at 522, and then we'll go into a deeper discussion on the chakra systems. So are there any final questions or comments? If not, then let us close out today's session, the reciting the New Lord's Prayer. Are there any comments? No? All right. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. O great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for your kind attendance and participation. Do take the opportunity to go back and review the Metaphysics 101 series playlist on YouTube, and also take a look at the 21 Lessons series. And if we have the opportunity, I'd like to go into the Tantra Yoga series and maybe Metaphysics for Beginners series. Mr. Bernard Johnson produced for us several years ago. We'll see as we move through the different series. If you have any additional questions or comments, feel free to email us at Mystic Knowledge Center, all one word, at Gmail. Let us know if you feel comfortable with us answering the question on a subsequent open discussion, or if you would want us to answer your question or comment privately. If you'd like to volunteer or help out in any way, shape, or form, you can also email us and let us know, and we'll be glad to accept your assistance. Otherwise, have a wonderful week and we will see you next time. Take care.
Don't hang up.
Okay.